Jim Rome takes on sports.
Part of what makes this show is the show within the show. The biggest topic on the show always seems to be the show itself. This is a way to give you clones a way to interact with one another. Yes, we will be going through the chat. Yes, it'll be a part of the program. The only thing that could ruin the show are the old school clones spitting up the same bull crap that they always have. The jungle is out taking names and ready to dominate. Let's get it.
The Jim Rome Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
11 o'clock here on Three-Man Front. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, and Molly. Rodney Orr of TiderInsider along momentarily. Braves in action this afternoon. They win last night in Pittsburgh to even up that series. Rubber game today, and they get started. Braves still in first place in the National League East by 3 games. The Phillies losing yesterday in their matchup with the Cincinnati Reds. They're at Great American Ballpark. Well, right there in downtown Homewood, you got Mandu, electrical muscle stimulation fitness, all FDA approved. And the great thing about Mandu, I'll get right to it, it's the time you're going to save at Mandu by going through a 15-minute workout because of that technology. It's the equivalent to 6 hours of working out in a gym. You can't beat that. It fits your schedule. I can absolutely testify to the fact that it gives you results. Sign up for Mandu. Your first visit's free. They put you in the suit. They put you through the workout. It's 15 minutes long. You decide if it's right for you. Paul and his staff, wonderful people, downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. That's 2 U's, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jock sent you.
Joining us now from Tuscaloosa on the Higginbotham Hotline, Rodney Orr from TiderInsider. Rodney, I hope you're well on this Thursday.
I'm doing well, guys. How's it going?
We are hanging in there like a loose tooth, Rodney. Hope you are as well. I want to start with the Raekwon Butler, linebacker for the 2028 class. So one of my favorite towns in Alabama, Lochapoka High School down in Notasulga, Alabama. What can you tell us about Mr. Butler and the potential of him being in Tuscaloosa in a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a long way off. You know how those are. There's so many early commitments, and then they flip somewhere else. We're seeing them going different places from the 2027 class, some of the early commitments, that they had. And I expect that's probably what will happen with some of these as far as he's concerned. Butler, he's obviously had a great camp at Alabama and impressed a lot of people, got an offer, committed here this week, and 6'3", 205 linebacker. Just seems to have the frame that they like to be able to develop and fill out. He's, like I said, he's not really big right now at about 205 pounds, but he's got the frame to fill out. And, he's got some other offers that have rushed in. I know it's early, so they haven't really rated some of these players yet. So we'll see where he ends up in terms of the rankings for interest purpose. But I do think that obviously he's turning some heads, with some of these other programs that have offered too.
Who are some of those other maybe more prominent names? And I know that Alabama's going to be limited as far as maybe how many they want to take, but any of those other big names that are still out there that Alabama would take if they committed?
For 2027?
Yeah.
I'm sure if Monshawn Sells called
right.
and said he wanted to come, he would be the obvious one. I think probably they're about done in that regard. Now, they may take some other guys that are what we call now scholarship only. That could happen. You could see that. And plus, things change. Sometimes a guy may want to flip that we can't predict right now. And then sometimes guys emerge during the fall that become really highly touted. So things can change, obviously, over the process right now, but there's just not really a lot out there in terms of the bigger names. I think there's only like 4 of the top 100 players in the country that are still uncommitted, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Sales is one of those. So just not a lot out there in terms of the highly regarded players.
Rodney, from your perspective, and we have noted this on this program for quite some time now, you were the first one that alerted us that, hey, listen, folks, don't be shocked that Alabama is going to have a smaller class this year. But from your perspective, based on the commitments that they currently have, do you think that they have addressed the areas of need that this football team needs for 2027?
Yeah, I think the thing that really strikes me is I'll just look at it. They've got 2 really good quarterbacks. You always got to keep that quarterback room full. There could be some movement there, obviously, after this year. So securing a couple of good ones is always I think it's a good philosophy. 2 good running backs. Newkirk out of Georgia and then Ty Phillips out of South Carolina. Those are two really good running backs. Two good tight ends. They really needed that. They wanted that. And I think they filled that. They got a good place kicker out of Texas. I think that's a valuable pickup, I think, to be able to have that. They got a cornerback that they really wanted. They've got a deep secondary, but Darius White's really good. He fits the bill that they like. A.J. Pauley's a really good defensive lineman, and I think Stafford, the Willis kid, the offensive lineman, is a guy that can develop over time. I think really, to me, and again, I know it's changed with the portal. You hit the portal for linemen. You'd like to see them have got a few more, maybe on both sides of the ball, ideally. And I think you lost Mitchell Turner. I think that was a big loss, a really big loss. He was a guy that you focused on the defensive line at Louisville, Mississippi, committed to Ole Miss. So you've taken a few hits. But overall, from the group, the small group, it looks to be a pretty solid class, and I think that the group as a whole will be in terms of when the final rankings come out of players. I think some of these guys will probably get bumped up some.
Rodney Orr, TiderInsider, joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. As for this team that we're going to see that Kalen DeBoer fields this season, Rodney, offensive line, you feel better about Alabama's offensive line potential heading into the season? Just comparing to last July, when I probably asked you the same question.
Honestly, no idea. And I say that, I know it's probably a bad answer, but it's just true. I mean, until we see them out there, they had 15 practices together. I mean, they have a long way to go. Talking to some people that played the game, that understand offensive line play, that got to watch them. Yeah, they saw some potential, but they saw a lot of concerns in the spring. They've got to obviously, and look, again, 15 practices, that's not much for a group of guys with so many new faces. There's some youth there, a lot of inexperience in terms of Jackson Lloyd at left tackle. Even Michael Carroll, he played a lot as a freshman, but he's still not that experienced. And they've got the new faces there too. So I just think it's really hard to say. There was, not only the run blocking, but, I was told from spring practice that pass protection looked to be a real issue. And again, not that that's unexpected 15 practices in. I wish I could answer that better, Landrum, but that's just being as honest as I can be. It just remains to be seen.
Okay, and I know you're probably going to say this is ditto for this question, but I want to phrase the same question that Landrum just asked you, but about the running back room. Would you say the same thing that you just said about the offensive line?
I will say this about the running backs. The opportunities that we had to watch them in the spring, I was impressed with what I saw from Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley from a physical standpoint. It looked like Riley had gotten a little bigger. Obviously very, very quick he is. And Daniel Hill had really lost some weight. I think Grubb said like 19 pounds. He looked like a different player physically. His feet looked quicker. Now, again, that's just, the quickness and the physical appearance. They look like they had really put in the effort. So from that standpoint, I thought those guys looked better. I know that A.K. Deere has a ton of potential. He's extremely explosive, big play guy, great vision running. It's just with the ball, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, does he know everything he's supposed to do? Does he know his assignments? That's a big key there. Crowell could be the X factor. I mean, he is an extraordinarily talented guy, 220 pounds. Again, how much does he kind of know in terms of all the details of the offense? I think it took a hit in the spring because he missed that opportunity to develop. And, hopefully he can catch on real quickly. I think that the running back room does have a chance to be improved.
Okay, a guy that Alabama, one of those prize guys out of the transfer portal, as we extend out and we go to the wide receiver position, Noah Rogers. We know he was carted off during the spring. Any update as to maybe his progression with getting healed and how much we could potentially see him?
Yeah, I think, the general feeling has been sometime maybe late October when he could return. That could change, could maybe a little earlier, maybe hopefully not a little later. But no, I think that they expected him to be obviously a key performer for them, and that was a big blow. So you've got to have some guys step up. But right now, I think it's he's going to miss several games, and hopefully when he comes back, he'll be full force. But that's it's a real loss.
In regards to the defense, all the accolades are on the secondary. But if there's an area of concern for you personally on the defensive side of the ball, what position group would give you the most pause?
I would think probably because of the lack of experience, it'd be inside linebacker. I think obviously Caleb Woodson coming in from Virginia Tech, very productive. He's got a lot of experience. He's a great athlete, former safety. So I think he brings a lot, and a lot of leadership too. I know they were really pleased with the leadership that he showed in the spring, just coming in from Virginia Tech and taking the bull by the horns the way he did. I like QB Reese too. I mean, he's a heady ball player, and I think he's got a chance to certainly make a strong contribution. Caden Jones has been around. The young guys, Luke Metz really stood out in A-Day. He's aggressive. He's got a nose for the ball. He's a guy that I'd really watch. And then, of course, you got Duke Johnson, Abdul Sanders, a couple of other guys. But it's just the inexperience there. And I do think they have to be better on the defensive line against the run. They just got gashed and pushed around up the middle quite a bit at times against the more physical teams. So that's an area that they have to be a lot better, frankly. And I think with the additions of Terrence Green, Kedrick Bingley-Jones, Devin Tompkins, Jeremiah Beeman coming back, London Simmons will be healthy. I think all of those guys should certainly help them improve in that area.
What's the consensus on your message board there at TiderInsider, Rodney, with fans? Would you say more optimistic about a college football playoff berth this season or more on the fence?
Well, the vocal ones mostly, I would say, lean towards kind of wait and see to negative.
That's where Conrad is, we feel like. Yeah, wait and see to negative.
Maybe he's one of those on there that's
it's probably
kind of perpetuating that.
Yes.
But no, that I think. But then there's obviously there's some optimism as well. But I think most people are kind of saying, let's take a wait and see what happens. This team obviously has a lot of potential, but can they get it done? And I think the first 5 games are really going to be important because it's going to give them an opportunity to improve, develop, and get some confidence and hopefully have their quarterback ready to go when Georgia comes here.
Rodney, do a segment every day called Pat Ponders, and I ask the group 5 questions. A lot of times, most of the time, it's dealing with sports issues, thought-provoking type of questions. And I asked them something earlier this week, and if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, and if you have an opinion on this, we'd love to hear it. If not, I don't want to put you on the spot. But this was the question I asked him. I said, what if scenario for Kalen DeBoer? If he makes the college football playoff the next 3 seasons, but does not make the national championship game, does he get a year 4 in Tuscaloosa? What do you say?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I would say. I would, yeah. I mean, I think eventually they're going to want to see that the fans and everybody wants to see competing for a national championship, obviously getting there. But I think right now, I would say yes.
Okay.
That if he gets to the playoffs the next 3 years, here's a question: does he get there this year? Okay, so if they don't get there this year, then look forward to 2027 because everyone's talking about that's the big year.
Right.
Right. But you look at that schedule, and they've got Texas and Ohio State, and they've got some other tough teams on there. If they don't get there this year, there's no guarantee for 2027.
Good
that
point.
could be tough.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is Rodney Orr. For all your inside information about Alabama athletics, you need to sign up for TiderInsider at TiderInsider.com. Rodney, always a pleasure, man, catching up with you every Thursday. Appreciate it as always, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Rodney.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you so much. Rodney joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
No concern coming from our friend across the glass in what Rodney just told us. We will hash it out, as uncomfortable as it may be for Conrad, and we'll do it next.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
Jeff Jarrett, great to see you.
In this business, the story behind the scenes, so much more entertaining than what you see on camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
Mr. Heyman, you are a master at the little things. That's how you turn good into great.
What does it take to achieve greatness? Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do.
That's an Emmy-winning performance.
How about it?
Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.